Hello everyone, hello and welcome back, welcome back. We are, yes, definitely making sure that we are continuing to work with the green screen. That's why you probably noticed that there's no more background except for Visual Studio Code. And of course, the cameraman who always seems to find himself getting into the actual shot. Isn't that right? So, without further ado, today we have some more CSS for you to add to your utility belt, and it is going to be working with actual links. What happens when you hover over a link, or when an actual link is visited, or if it's actually active. All right, let's go on ahead and play around with a couple of properties, and let's go on ahead and get started. Yes, Mr. Fullstack, and welcome to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. All right, go on ahead and open up your favorite editor, and I'll give you a chance to go on ahead and do that. In the meantime, I will make sure I got everything open up on my end. All right. Okay, so let's go on ahead and actually open up a couple of files. And the first one we're going to open up, since we're working with links that have actually been visited, let's go on ahead. Oh, and it looks like I got the previous CSS tutorial that was up. That's what we worked on in the last video. So if you actually missed that, feel free to go to the previous actual video in which we were working with the actual text property shadow. All right, but we can go on ahead and close that. And we're not working with that, so, but we will create the actual file. And since we're messing with actual links, we're working with links. Let's just call it links visit. Actually, let's just call it links. Links.html. And we'll go on ahead and add another file here in which it will be the CSS file. So links.css. There we go. And let's actually open that up with live server so we can see exactly what's going on. And now a lot of the stuff that I'm using, again, I'm using Visual Studio Code, but again, you can use any text editor that you would like. I'm also using Live Server, which is an extension of Visual Studio Code. So once you do have this installed, you can go on ahead and just right click on the actual files and then choose open with live server. If you're not doing that, just create the actual file on your desktop or any directory that you would like and just open it up and just continue to hit refresh. All right, now let's go on ahead and add some bare bones markup. And of course, what we're also going to do is get the actual CSS file attached to the HTML file. And in order to do that, we'll just type in the link rel and the href, and then we can go on ahead and just choose our CSS file and where it actually is. And the title, we're just going to call that links. Nothing too special there. Do a quick refresh. For some reason, I always seem to have to refresh live server once, and then after that, pretty much good to go. All right, so now that we actually have that open, let's split this to the right by right clicking on the tab and then clicking split to the right, and I'll close that. This way we'll be able to see what's happening on the actual screen. And what I'm going to do is just add some bare bones markup, which I already have, but let's add some additional things. So let's add some actual links. So here's the actual A tag, which you would use for the actual links, or of course a element. And when I press tab, Visual Studio Code automatically adds the href, in which that's where your location is going to be. But we're not concerned about the actual location itself, in which we did cover that in a previous tutorial or in a previous video. But let's go on ahead. We'll just put text below for the actual href. Why did I have text below? .html. We'll go on ahead and do that. And we'll add an ID. We'll just call it top. And let's give it some actual text. We'll say click here to something. All right. And not a lot of room there since there's really a small amount of CSS. Let's just do that. There we go. And let's copy this. Okay. And copy that a couple of times. get some random p text here. Well, the p text, that's just actually we don't even need the p text at all. We're just working with actual links, but I will have a fourth link here in which that will just be like an href, which is going to go to the top of the screen. Okay, in which I don't actually need that as well. Let's see here. Sometimes you end up testing a lot of things and then you don't actually need them at all. But we have the 3 links that we actually have at the top. So actually, you know what? Let's just go with that. There we go. We'll keep it simple. All right, so I got 3 links that are actually here. I got some IDs that in which we don't need those because you can only have one ID with a unique name. And so let's go to the actual CSS, and those links, I don't like them side by side. So what we're going to do is let's target the actual link. And then from there, what we can do is I like to change the font family. For some reason, I always do this because I just like to have the font look a little better. And then let's actually increase the font size. And of course, most of these properties that we're using right now, we've actually went over in previous videos. Let's take away the text decoration, which is the actual line that is below the links. So let's do text decoration. Okay, and we're going to apply that to none. That's going to be the value. And then so now what you see is there's no more line. So if you look to the left, there's a line, actually no line. Look to the left now, and now there is. So we want that to be set to none. And let's see, we'll make the font a little bold. This is kind of like a little refresher. Font weight, we'll make it bold. Take a look to the left. Now it's a little thicker. And now because the actual A element is an inline block or an inline element. So pretty much what that means is it's basically going to be in line with all of the other elements around it. So it does not have its own dedicated line. We want it to have its own dedicated line. So let's just say display block. All right, so now they are on their own separate line. So let's play around with it. If I go over to them, nothing actually happens. There is the cursor change, which that's cool. But let's do something else. And so when we hover over that, what we want to do is type A and then the actual colon and then the actual hover. All right, so then what we can do is actually add what we want to happen when we hover over the actual link. So in this case, I want the actual code to say, you know what, let's change the color when I hover over it to a nice deep pink. All right. And so now when I go over that with the actual mouse, now each link that I go over and hover over turns to a nice deep pink. All right. And we can actually add that text decoration back and add that line that we had from before. So what we can do, we'll say the actual value for that will be underline. And now when we hover over it, the actual color is going to be pink and there should be an underline. And there you see, there's your underline. Hover over the middle one, underline, hover over the first one, underline. All right, so not too bad, not too bad. All right, now what happens when it's actually visited? Okay, so these are not actually going to anywhere, but I'm going to show you a way to actually, showcase what would happen if we wanted to, let's say, simulate a link being visited or a link being active. All right, so I'm going to place 2 things here. So I'm going to go, let's see, A:visited. Okay, and then I'm going to make that color green. So for any links that have been visited, the color is going to be green. And for any links that are active, in which when would they be active? Maybe if you actually have some type of tabs that are changing actual text on the actual page, or maybe an iframe. So then what's going to happen here is if it's or actually a page that you're landing on, let's say you clicked on home and then you went to, let's say, the About Us page. The About Us page is active now, so that should have a different color. So here I'm going to say that color is going to be red. But let's go on ahead and simulate this by going over to our actual screen here, right clicking and hitting the inspect tool. Okay, and of course you can do that with Command Shift I. I believe it's Command Shift I for Mac, but for Windows it's Control Shift I, or just right click and hit inspect. And then what we'll do, we'll bring this up a little bit and let's go to the actual link. Hey, what happened here? All right, so let's go to the actual links that we have, which are right here. Okay, so now we're on the actual links and I'm going to click right here. All right, so where it says hover. All right, or hov. I'm not sure what that HOV is for. But if anyone else knows, feel free to let me know in a comment. But now let's go on ahead and simulate whether or not it is hovered. So if I click on hover, look at that. Now the first actual link is simulating a mouse hovering over the actual URL or over the A element or A tag or link. Okay, if I uncheck that, and remember, when we go back to our CSS file over here, we can see that what's highlighted is whenever you hover, make sure you have the actual text pink and text decoration of underline. And that's what's happening here. So it's a great simulation. Now let's take a look at what we have for visited. Our rule here is for any tag that's actually visited, we're going to change that color to green. So now I check that and take a look at the actual URL up at the top, or why I'm saying URL, not URL, the actual link itself. So for the link, what you can see now is, okay, the hover is still in place. I'm simulating that the actual link is visited. All right, so it's been visited already. And now it is actually green. So I'll uncheck that and then we'll go over to our active. So for the active, we have a rule here for change the color to red. And if I click on that, and now the color is red. So a few different additional properties there that we can actually add on to our existing rules and tags. And what that allows you to do is really get a little more creative and have more flexibility and really be able to actually showcase what you want to happen with the actual links themselves. I mean, you can add a number of different properties here, just for the actual changing of the actual text. All right, but that's up to you. Be creative, play around with these. And again, I suggest it's always a great thing because you added this to your tool belt, and two, play around with these. I mean, if you're not going to break anything, just go on ahead, give it a shot. And you don't have to showcase, you don't have to actually bank these to memory, but just playing around and seeing them for the first time, it's definitely a good thing. All right. If you have any comments, concerns, suggestions, feel free to leave an actual comment. And of course, you can always email me directly. Please subscribe to the channel. That definitely helps. And hit a like if you would like as well. All right. Other than that, full stack out.